Welcome, folks, to the second episode of the Bald and Bearded Tottenham Boys show. I am bald, and he is bald. Over there. Or I guess you can look down here. And I am Will Stewart. The other bald guy over there is Cody Mac. How you doing today, Cody?
Well, it's just another day in Wonderland here as a Tottenham Hotspur fan, you know. Manager after manager declining to come here. Every decent mind that we've been linked to is running as fast as they can in the opposite direction. Nagelsmann goes to Bayern. Ten Hag's going to go to Leipzig. We'll probably get, who are we going to get? Graham Potter?
Yeah, I mean, and even after this show today, I'm going on to another show. The topic is about who's going to be in the hot seat. And to be honest with you, I'm not only do I not really know who is going to go into the hot seat, to be honest with you, right at this point, I really don't care.
I'm with you, man. The reality is the manager isn't really the problem, right? So, like I've said it before, I'm fine bringing in a guy like Ten Hag who has the reputation that he has, despite him having already had a run at Crystal Palace and it being a bit of a failure, you know. But we have to transplant that entire scouting and development system. We have to transplant that whole philosophy, that whole mentality. It doesn't really matter who you put in if nothing else is going to change. So I don't know. I don't know if any of these managers are going to want to come here. Like as much as it looked like Jose was going to be a failed experiment in the end, there is a manager who has a lot of pull in the football community globally with players and with managers. So if somebody is calling up Jose Mourinho right now saying, "Hey man, I'm thinking about taking the Tottenham job," you can just imagine the kind of things that are being put in their ears right now. So as much as Mourinho was a draw for players, his his rotting corpse at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium that smell is gonna put people off of coming here.
Yeah, no, 10,000%. But let's welcome some of the folks in from the chat here that we're watching. There were a couple of comments earlier in the day. They have since disappeared. But let's see. We've got Spartan 7 Gaming's in the house. Mr. K, of course. He's a channel favorite for us. We've got Gmart here. Welcome to the show. Full Minth is in the house again today. Eugene is here. Lasong Grove 1954 is here today. We've got Mr. Ref FFS. We could have used you this weekend. Or at least your name for sure. Or I was saying your name several times this weekend. Holly's in the house. Good afternoon or good evening for you, Holly. Who else saying Big Time Girder? Mr. Dan and Joseph Cahill are in the comments so far. If you're in the comments or if you're watching the stream, there's far more people watching the stream right now than are in the comments. So make sure you get into the comments and say hello. Dietrich Kane just popped in, and he says he's hating the team at the moment. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, like and share the video with your friends. We are only, I think the channel is, I'm like 2 subscribers away from 450. So let's try to get to at least 450 by the end of this stream. So make sure if you're watching, share it out on Facebook, tweet it out, hit that little share button at the bottom. Jump on and hit that like button as well. Really helps us out. I'd really like to get to 500 by Friday. So if you guys can help me out with that, that would be great. If not, that's okay too. But I think we've been rolling pretty quick. So something like 100 subscribers in the last 7 days. So it seems as though you guys like what we're doing. Also too, Cody, I know I showed you earlier before, but I just want to show the fans here before we get going. I, being bored last night and watching other YouTube channels, not being able to sleep, decided to create THFCRants.com, where you can get your favorite memes from the THFC Rants channel. The prices are about as cheap as I could get them. It's pretty much just the cost of the shirt himself. There is a little profit margin in there to help the channel out, but nothing crazy. We've got Enoch Out stuff, sweatshirts, stickers, masks, big giant banners that get up to about 104 inches long. If you want to take them to the next time that you go out to the match, you can also get some bald and bearded Tottenham Boys Show merch, as well as my favorite hashtag, man smell. And even for the ladies, we have some yoga pants with man smell on them. And I just thought that was a funny thing to put man smell on. So yeah, you guys can check that out. Also too, if you notice in the link, there's also a Patreon link down there. We can't monetize the channel yet because we're not big enough. If you want to do that, you can. Please don't feel obligated to do that. I just put it up there because all of the YouTubers I was watching yesterday had it. So I figured, why not? So, and we don't need to see that though. But yeah, and which looks better? Does this look better?
Oh no, my face is too big. I'll have to cover up my head if we do that close up. There's too much glare coming off there already.
But yeah, you can check out thfcrants.com. All the links and that stuff are in the description below. I've tried to give Cody a piece of that pie. He's refused for now. But once we have gotten $1 million, I'm sure he'll accept a piece of it. So we'll see how that goes. But no, I just thought it was fun and funny. So if you guys like some stuff from now on too, anytime a popular meme pops up on the show, I'll make a shirt out of it or something like that, and you guys will be able to pick that up. And they do ship and fulfill out of the UK. Worldwide shipping for other people, but you'll get the fastest results out of North America, US, Canada, and the UK. So anyway, back to the real stuff people want to hear about. Questions. Did you see any question in the comment particularly?
Well, there was one that asked if we thought the season was over for us from Full Mince. I feel like I would prefer the season to be over because it feels like there's not going to be anything in it for us at the end, difficult to see us going on a run despite having a fairly soft schedule. Leicester took care of business this weekend. It doesn't look like they're going to have the same falter that they suffered last season. So really, is there anything good that can happen? Maybe, I don't know. But the thing is, we've endured every day for the last 6 weeks, basically since the North London Derby. Every day has been worse than the last as a Spurs fan. It's just been getting worse and worse. So I can understand the sentiment, but it's one of those seasons where anything can happen. I just don't know what happens if we do make top 4. Does it mean anything?
Yeah, well, I mean, it would really depend on what and how we do anything in the summer at all. I just don't have any. I mean, I used to go into summer transfer windows with a little bit of hope that we would see something happen, right? Like, not anymore, dude. Not anymore. I'm completely, diminished and just out of control. But we've also got Mr. K here made a response earlier. He said he'd like you guys to talk about all the hype that happens surrounding Spurs, and then it's blown away without a care. Yeah, man. I mean, I think that's a huge thing, right? We always get hyped up. The club is always putting out statements and going in the press and going in the media and sending out emails. And if people think I'm corny for a couple mugs, shirts, sweatshirts, and a couple masks, you can get Legos and blocks. And I actually got my mom actually bought us for Christmas at one point in time. I don't know. My mom has this weird thing about buying Monopoly games. So we have probably like 7 Monopoly games with different themes, but I have a Tottenham Hotspur Monopoly game. So
it sounds like it would be fairly realistic. Just as long as at the end of the game, as long as Daniel Levy wins every time, everybody else ends up with mortgages, and Levy walks away with all the cash.
That's true. That's true. It's very fitting now for the Monopoly game, the Tottenham Hotspur Monopoly game. Somebody else throw in the comments there if you've got the Tottenham Hotspur Monopoly game, or if I'm the only one that has it. But we also got a question from RFF. On a scale of 1 to 10, how shit are we? Never mind, Enoch out.
Well, I don't think you have to look much further than what went on Sunday. I actually thought we played pretty well for the quality that we have. Obviously not in an offensive way, but we defended quite well. That could have easily been quite embarrassing, even more embarrassing than it was. But yeah, I mean, scale of 1 to 10, I'd say we're right up there. I mean, you can't really say a 10. For me, a 10 is like relegation threatened. So 8.5, we're definitely shit, We're shit, and we know we are. and I don't know. This is not like the kind of, oh, we just need one piece of the puzzle. We're a ways away from being a decent club at this point. We're not really close to Leicester City. We're not really close to Manchester United. We're not close to top 4. Look at like the way that we played on Sunday just goes to show how seriously that competition is taken. We didn't have to beat anybody to get to the final, right? We beat Chelsea's B squad. That was it. When we beat Chelsea, Gedson Fernandez played. That's how shit Chelsea were that day, and we still had to beat them on penalties. And then Stoke and Brentford and the bye against Leyton Orient. That was probably the best chance that we had to win a trophy I can see happening for the next 3 seasons. And we weren't close in the game. Not even close. We couldn't lay a hand on Manchester City. Couldn't lay a finger on them. So we're shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're a Kane and a sun sail away from bottom half of the table, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah, I think all you have to do is take Harry Kane out of that team, and we're probably sitting below Arsenal, bottom half.
Yeah, I would say 8th. Without Kane, you're looking at 8th, 9th, or 10th. Without Kane and Son, you're looking at probably 13th, 14th. I'm talking like Brighton levels.
Yeah, it was definitely an embarrassing effort on Sunday, despite the fact that, again, considering how poorly we've defended all season, I thought we defended quite well. But
I mean, well, the defense really looked reminiscent of the day when we beat them 2-0 back, just without the attacking side of it.
Yeah, they really, we just, our midfield was just so non-existent. So really, when your only option is trying to ping long balls to Sonny.
Well, and they didn't really try to ping long balls. So that's the thing, is they tried to play out of the back the whole entire match, which wasn't on. I mean, I can't remember. Can you remember one pass that Alderweireld made from the back line into the front line? He made it out to a fullback every now and again. But
basically, the only 2 times that we had a couple of chances, but we put such little pressure on them that when we did get an opportunity to get out and counter, all that had to happen was a cynical foul. And you saw that twice. Laporte stopped counterattacks, and for everybody who's saying that Laporte should have been sent off, I don't agree with that at all, because Reguilon should have been sent off after about 12 minutes. Like, he made the one cynical tackle that Tierney ignored, called it a foul, didn't give a card. It was a blatant hip check, no attempt to play the ball at all. And then when Laporte made his first cardable offense, it was an eye for an eye. So, yeah.
Yeah, but that one on Reguilon where he stomped on his leg, back of his leg, that was intentional. I mean, you could literally see him looking down at him and stepping right on his leg. Like, that should have been an immediate red card right then and there. In my views of things, right? Because a yellow card is supposed to be incidental contact that endangers your opponent, right? A red card is intentional in trying to endanger your opponent. And that stepping on the back of his leg like that, because they go into that tackle, he kind of stands up, takes a step away, and then leans back into it and steps straight on the back of his leg.
I see Mr. K.
And there was no penalty, no card at all. There was not even a foul called on that one.
Yeah. Mr. K has a comment about Harry Winks. Okay, so how I interpreted the
earmuffs,
starting
Holly,
lineup,
earmuffs.
How I interpreted the starting lineup was we wanted to be able to have creativity come off the bench. Every time that we've played Lo Celso and Ndombele together, they both end up having to be substituted, which, it wouldn't have been as much of a factor in this game, considering we could make 5 substitutions. But still, at least there would have been like a like-for-like option, take Ndombele off, put Lo Celso on, that kind of thing. The talk coming into the game, coming out of Ryan Mason, we were going to play Tottenham Hotspur brand football. We were going to play with flair. We were going to play with bravery. We were going to attack. The reality is we just don't have the quality to do that. But I can understand the logic in putting Winks in there if the plan was to maintain possession as much as possible, because Winks is a possession midfielder. But it just didn't really work out, obviously. And man, I can defend the starting lineup, but I cannot defend the substitutions. When Sissoko came on, I'm sure that everybody watching was joining me in putting their hands on their head and saying, what are we doing? Like on paper, you can understand, okay, Gareth Bale comes on. He's a defensive liability. We have to put a defender on, a defensive minded mid. But where is the bravery in that? Right? Where I mean,
the substitutions for me, I've caught some heat from some people in the comment section of the title of my video from the rant show on the weekend, where I said it was 100% his fault. And the reason why I'm saying it was 100% his fault, not that the players played a perfect match and that's why we lost the match. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that those substitutions were so poor and so mistimed, so obviously wrong. It's like regardless of what anyone else did, regardless of the fact that Son had a really bad match, the fact that Harry Kane was missing for most of the match, the fact that Reguilon had a really poor first half, the fact that Lo Celso had a really poor first half, those substitutions were so bad that you can't, it's like, it's, you just can't not give him the highlight for that particular setup.
Like, I have no problem with Bale coming on, especially considering, like, at least Bale came on with time to impact the game, as opposed to previous opportunities where he's been coming on like 80th, 85th, 87th minute. He came on with almost half an hour to play. But why would you take Lucas Moura off, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, I can see bringing Bale on, but Bale has to come in for Lo Celso. And you move Lucas Moura into the 10. And then boom, even that one substitution, even just that one, right? If you want to bring on Sissoko and you want to take out Højbjerg, or he would take out Harry Winks or something like that. Obviously, if it would have been Winks in that scenario, fine. That's fine. Taking Lucas Moura off the pitch when he was the highest rated outfield player statistically, right? Like, even SofaScore gave him he's the only 7 on the whole entire squad other than Lloris. And to take him off of the match right when if you look at and that's the thing for SofaScore, as we are our attacking momentum, was on our side, and you pull him off, especially with the players that you have with cards on, and then to bring on Bale for that, it's fine if you want to add it, but why take more off? You don't have to do that, right? You're not losing anything in defense. Lo Celso wasn't defending.
Yeah, you know what? It was classic case where Ryan Mason talked the talk all week, but he didn't walk the walk. There was the substitutions were cowardly.
Scott made it wrong, dude. Wrong. There's no way Lo Celso was better than Moura that game.
Yeah, I didn't see what Lo Celso brought to the game, to be honest. I mean, he had the one chance.
He had flashes in the first part of the second half before he got taken off as well.
Yeah,
flashes.
When the time came for bravery, the substitutions were cowardly, and the substitutions appeared to be a play to try and get us to penalties, which just foolhardy. I would have rather made the like-for-like substitution. Like I said, Lo Celso comes off and Ndombele goes on, and go for it. Who cares if we open up? Who cares if we concede 2 or 3 goals? To have gone through an entire cup final, and really we can't even say that we went for it at all. It's just so fucking Spursy. I hate to use the term, but it just drives you up the wall. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 10,000%. And listen, folks, in the comments too. This is part of your channel. You can either at me or at Cody if you have a specific question that makes them easier to find. Especially now that we've got like 50, 60 people watching across all the different platforms. Because we are streaming also on Facebook and Twitch and Periscope, I do believe. So, if people want to hit us with that, then it's easier to pull the comment out. But we got one.
Yep, totally get it. And but again, it just comes back for me. It's like, okay, if you're not going to start both Ndombele and Lo Celso, you need to put another midfield in there. It's either Sissoko or Winks. I know Winks has been invisible, but yeah, we had to roll the dice with the lineup the way that it was all stacked up against us. It was gonna take a miracle. Like all week, I was predicting that Eric Dyer was going to be our best player, and the only reason that I was doing that is because if we were going to stand a chance at beating Man City, we were going to have to take a weakness and turn it into a strength. Now, oddly enough, Eric Dyer was pretty damn good, but it wasn't enough given how we played on the offensive end. It wasn't enough given that obviously Harry Kane was what would you say Harry Kane was? 65% fit?
If that. I mean, he just didn't look like he was running at all. I mean, there seemed to be no. I mean, do you think this was a protest between Son and Kane to get all conspiratorial here? But you think Son and Kane were protesting the fact they sacked Jose? Because I mean, both of them just look.
No, I don't think so. Just the reality is when you play any kind of sport and where there is offense and defense and you are just constantly suffocated by the opposing team, you could just see every time that Son got a touch on the ball, there were 3 Manchester City defenders there waiting to mop up, and there was nobody to pass to. We were just so locked into our own half that it was just impossible once we got onto their side of the pitch. They dealt with the counter, and our counter was hobbled by the fact that Harry Kane wasn't 100% fit. I can't think of a time where they they squandered a chance. Højbjerg and Reguilon kind of butchered that one chance where we actually got the ball into their Manchester box. But yeah, I just think we were outclassed. We were totally outclassed.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just think for me that I would have rather seen them just kind of come out and get some fight, right? Like if things aren't going for your way, if you can't get on the ball because of the way City's playing, then just start getting mad at each other. I'd rather Son, square up and start chest bumping, his own players and screaming at him in their face. I'd like to see some type of intensity rather than almost kind of like an acceptance of the fact that they were going to lose. And then the show after the fact of crying, which I've got no people crying on me. I'm out there. I mean, thousands of people have seen me do it on. Thanks for that, Ben. Oh,
that whole mentality issue has been a big problem within this squad the entire season, right? We have just slowly but surely been crumbling from the foundation up, and you haven't seen that fight that you should be seeing. Like, if you're part of a team and you have a certain expectation in terms of how you're going to perform and how you're going to succeed, when you're not getting the results that you want, those players should be at each other's throats. And all we ever see, and I know that we're being spoon-fed, but all you ever see are the pictures of them playing games, playing basketball, playing tech ball, having a laugh, playing cricket, right? Doing their little interviews, Joe Rogan and Gareth Bale, like, do you believe in aliens and that stuff? I know that we would never be privy to those moments, but there's nothing that we do see that gives me cause to believe that there is that kind of discord between, like, what players do we possess who are like, this is unacceptable? Where is the core of our leadership? Where are the players? These guys should be ripping each other limb from limb. And then you got, after the Everton game, these guys are joking around with Luca Digne, and it's just, man, we've just got such a broken mentality. And you look at the way that City operate. How is it that Manchester City have 2 first-team squads and yet they can keep their players happy somehow? Right? How is it that when
money.
they win their fourth straight Carabao Cup, that they make the celebration and the elation on the players' faces makes it look like it was their first trophy that they've ever won, right?
It's because they're getting paid more than 50, 60,000 pounds a week, right? They're all on at least 150,000 pounds a week. So, that would make me happy if I was a little bit older, or maybe not as good, maybe not 100% physically, at it, because that's what it kind of seems like, right? For a lot of the players that they have on the bench, there are quality, class, like their IQ is high, but maybe physically they're lacking in a certain spot, so they wouldn't really get into a top team in the first string. You know what I mean? So it's okay to be second string on the best team, especially if you're making a crap ton of money. But we got a question here from Dan M. What are your thoughts on Sonny and Kane leaving this summer? I think they're gone. I think this is an easy question to answer. I think they'll both leave. They're going to try at least. I don't know if they'll get their wish because of Daniel Levy. I'm sure he's going to try to throw some monkey wrenches in that because he knows where we would be without them. I think that they're going to try to get out this summer.
I wouldn't blame them, but for a deal of that magnitude to come together, when you're talking about 9 figures or close to it in Sonny's case, there's so many elements that need to be balanced, right? Both clubs involved need to be happy with the return. The player needs to be happy with the destination. The player's family has an involvement. There's the agent that needs to be satisfied as well. I don't think that we're looking at, especially considering that we're dealing with Euros this summer as well, the conditions for moving a player of Harry Kane or Heung-min Son's caliber are less than ideal, to say the least. So I think they probably both end up staying, just because who's going to come in with money right now during COVID? Like, that's the whole reason that the Super League was being pushed forward, is that the Spanish clubs are capitulating financially, and if Manchester City want to go and buy a striker for 120 or 130 million pounds, why won't they go for one of the younger options? If it was up to me, I would probably be enacting Operation Dynamite. I would be getting rid of Son and Kane, as much as it hurts me as a fan, as a supporter, to say that. The reality is, these players, if they haven't passed peak value already, then they will be by the time next summer comes around, summer 2022. And we have this habit, maybe not with our best players, but with a lot of our players, that we tend to hold on to them for too long. Their value begins to decline, and then we can't find a suitor because we don't acknowledge that the value has declined. We still want full price tag, even though it's a banana that's past its expiration date. We're going to end up with a bunch of brown bananas that we can't sell because Levy's not going to take a discount. He's going to say, these bananas are still fully ripe. You should be paying full price. So I just
got Captain Hoiberg from Twitter out here watching too, on Twitter. Make sure if you're watching on Twitter that you come over and hit that subscribe button on the YouTube page. We're one away from 450. We only needed 2. We've got one more. There's about 65 people watching. So let's get that out. But yeah, and then we had a question that was pointed at both of us from Swavpask. Do you guys really think that Ndambala are having poor performance the last couple of matches deserve to be on the bench and not get a minute in the final? I don't.
No, I think the whole reason that I was justifying Winks being in the lineup in my mind was that when Lo Celso ran out of gas, Ndombele would come in. But yeah, no, I don't think anybody in Spurs fandom can look at that and say, okay, coming into that final, Tanguy Ndombele is going to be fully fit and not play a single minute and be able to justify it. So, especially with we didn't even use all of our substitutions. We could have made 5. We only made 4. So, no. I mean, I don't know what to make of Ndombele, you know. What do we have in this player? Would you sell Ndombele if somebody came in? You could recoup the funds that you spent on him?
Yeah, for sure.
I think I would too.
If you could get the full amount, right now I'd sell anyone.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a single player on the team I wouldn't sell if an offer came in. You know? If somebody gave me an offer that I couldn't refuse, I don't think I would not sell anyone.
Yeah, I would sell.
Dr. Levy may not sell some people, but I don't know. Peter, I don't think I've ever given Sonny a hard time. I mean, there may be some people trolling him. I'm sure there are. I think he definitely had a bad performance. So as much as I love him, I have to call it as I see it. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. For me as well, it was more the midfield than it was. We were playing a low block. We were playing a low block with playing out of the back, and I don't know how that works.
Well, you saw how it worked. It doesn't.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the ridiculousness that is Ryan Mason, to think that you can play a low block defensively and then play out of the back. Yeah. It's like sticking your foot in your butt and trying not to trip.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think the plan was to just be completely hemmed in. I don't think that's really ever the plan. It's just we got outclassed tactically, and we got outclassed on the pitch. The chasm in quality was on full display.
We got another Baldy here. He's jealous of our bald and beardness. Our globes.
Yeah, I mean, it's my opinion that there is too much that needs to be done to build around Kane and Son, right? We are 2 to 3 transfer windows away from actually being able to build something around those 2 players. And by that time, Sonny's contract is going to be running out, and Kane's contract is going to have 1 year left. So would I accept? Yeah, because you know what? It's like Poch said, we had a painful rebuild that's been coming for quite some time. Hiring Jose Mourinho has just masked that for 18 months. We've kicked the can down the road. It's time for us to swallow the poison pill and enact Operation Dynamite. Absolutely. As long as we don't get relegated. But we definitely need a project. If we want to reach heights that we have never seen as Spurs supporters in our lives, if we want to be winning Premier League titles, if we want to be back in the Champions League final with a squad that can win it, we have to clean house. You have to. You can't do it around the core group that we have right now. There are certain players that if you wanted to, you could keep them around just because of the age that they are. Like Højbjerg is only 25, and Ndombele is only 24. But generally, yeah, we've given it a good go here with Harry Kane and Son, and I don't hold them personally responsible for us not getting trophies over the line, but they are a part of this club's current DNA that is unable to perform when they have to. So
yeah, no, 100%.
I don't see us winning trophies with them.
Yeah, and Captain Højbjerg, just hit me up on just send me a DM on Twitter and I'll send it to you. Yeah, it's you know, I don't know, but I just think that with all the players and everybody that's involved with it, I think they're all at a point right now where I'd sell any of them. But I don't think that Ndombele is a poor player. I don't think that he doesn't have class and ability in him, right? It's not that, right? There are players that must leave, and then there are players that I'm willing to let go if money comes in to refresh to refresh the squad, right? If you have to sacrifice, a few good apples in order to get the entire rot out of the team, I'm willing to do that.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do that.
I told you about this, the book that I bought, the biography of Tottenham Hotspur. So I posted this. I posted a couple paragraphs on Twitter, but it's just so funny because like I'm just at the beginning of the book, like maybe 40 pages in, and the chapter that I'm going to read from, they're summarizing the post 1901 FA Cup squad. Tottenham were the first non-league team to win the FA Cup in 1901. It was the beginning of our year ends in one tradition. So anyways, a few years after that, they're talking about, so it says, at the same time, there were changes going on behind the scenes at White Hart Lane. Back in those days, a manager generally doubled as club secretary. Cameron had been no exception, and in an attempt to relieve him of the paperwork that had begun to get him down, the board took on Arthur Turner, an accountant, to do the admin and look after the paperclips. But that wasn't all. Less helpful to Cameron's cause was that Turner had also been hired to put in train the board's plans for ground development, which meant there wasn't a lot of cash to spare for rebuilding the team. Now, does that sound familiar to anyone at all? This has been going on for 120 years at this club. It is completely ingrained in our DNA that we just can't.
You think Levy's going through that book out of the store shop and then out of the Spurs shop, and he's kind of just, what move can I pull next? This one here. Let's do that one again.
I think Levy must be an actual vampire, and he's just been in control of Spurs from the very beginning. And just every different era, he wears like a different wig or a different jacket, or it's so bizarre.
We got a question from Sean here. Cute kid, by the way, Sean. Would you and Cody put a bid in for Spurs ENIC out? What do we mean? Would we put in a bid? Are we saying like, are we for it? Yeah,
maybe it is.
Buy ENIC out stuff on you go THFRants.com. You can get ENIC out.
If we were billionaires, would you buy Tottenham?
I'd have to have more money than Joe Louis does to buy it. Because Joe Louis is only worth like $4 billion, and the club has like got an evaluation of like 1.75 or something like that, right? So
I think 2.3.
Yeah, nobody's paying 2.3.
No,
that's just like
a lot of it is debt. You're buying the debt, right?
The 2.3 would be that's what you call like it's like when you sell a house, right? That's the list price, and then it usually comes down after that. Sometimes it goes up, but that's rarely, especially after due diligence and looking to see what, I mean, if I was like Elon Musk or something like that, I'd buy it. Right? I mean, if you've got almost $200 billion, what's two? You know what I mean? It's kind of a drop in the bucket.
I think if I was that rich, I would probably invest in a time machine and go buy it from Sugar for $23 million. But yeah, it's just tough. This is the whole problem. I know that we definitely need to affect change at the board level, right? Whether it's getting Levy out, getting E.
You froze up on me, Cody.
Whatever.
There you go.
What would you and Cody put a bid in? Would we put a bid in?
Yeah, I'm not. Just because of my background looks cool doesn't mean I have any money. Just so people know.
Man, I'm a stay-at-home dad right now.
Yeah, paycheck to paycheck here.
I'll tell you what. If the only way I can see us adopting the Bundesliga model, the 50+1, is if it's legislated, and even then, that would be unprecedented, really, for a government to be coming in and saying, okay. And like you've said before, Will, these companies aren't even registered in the UK. But if there was an opportunity where it was like, okay, if supporters can purchase shares and get us control 50+1, that type of thing, yeah, I would buy shares.
Yeah. Oh, I would. If it was made public again, yeah, I'd buy some shares on it probably. I don't know how many I'd be able to afford to buy, but yeah. And then no billionaires, please. Can't trust them. I don't know. I feel like you can trust Elon Musk. He seems to be a very honest kind of individual. I don't see any ulterior motives. I mean, you got some flat Earth people that think that he's, a NASA shill or whatever, but other than people who have lost their mind, I don't see any malice in him at all. Either he's really good at hiding it. Like just even watching him on the couple times he's been on Joe Rogan's show. Have you ever watched his interviews with Joe Rogan?
Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them, where he puffs on the blunt with him and everything. No, I haven't watched.
He seems like a very genuine person to me.
That man is using parts of his brain that you and I cannot access. Seriously. I read, not necessarily a biography, but a book on Elon Musk. And just the level of involvement that he has in all three of his major companies is just incredible. The guy is absolutely brilliant. I know that people look at him as a bit of a weirdo, but every single genius that has ever done anything worthwhile has always been a little bit of a weirdo. Look at Howard Hughes. I put him in that kind of category.
I mean, that's kind of the point though, DM, right? Though, right? Like when you have a position to boost the value of something, you tend to do it, right? I mean, I think that's kind of normal. But I think for him too, I think it's going to become a point in time when you see him not necessarily be like the savior of humanity, but he'll grow to a point where he'll be the only one. Because even with all the whole mess in the United States, the politics, he was never all the way left or all the way right, and that infuriates some people who are very adamantly one side or the other. But you got someone like me who's kind of more classically liberal and in the middle, and I just think that it was. I think that that's where the world needs to be, right? If you want to be extreme right or extreme left, extreme left is more preferable than extreme rights, but I don't like extremes on either side. We need to have a balance, and he just kind of seems like he's a balanced person. That if he were to come into the club, and he was like, "Why not go get Messi for the last 3 years of his career? Let's do it." You know what I mean? Oh, we need some more money. Okay, then Tesla will sponsor the stadium, and we'll hack the price up to $600 million a year, right? He's got all these companies. He could totally do what City does, right, with sponsorship money, right? That fake sponsorship money to help balance the books. He could totally throw SpaceX on a sleeve and dump a $500 million into the club. And I think he's kind of the person where he's got a whole brand that's just to troll, right? It's yeah. And then we got Spartan 7 Gaming. Actually, he signed up on Patreon. Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much, Spartan 7 Gaming. I appreciate that. If you guys don't know, I did open up a Patreon. The link is in the description. We also have a new THFCRants.com where you can get all of your memed merchandise. See, look at me. I'm trying to, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to boost the value of my position with my position. I became a member of the THST today. Yeah, I saw that body. That's pretty cool. The big wigs, the wig party. Are you a member of the wig party now? Yeah. Yeah, no, I know what Messi's too old. I was just a point of saying, hey, he's the kind of guy that would do things like that, and not in a way that's like oil money stuff. You know what I mean?
Maybe he could put some neural lacing inside Musa Sissoko's head and turn him into an absolute.
I mean, think about the technology. Like we'd have players where they'd have like implants in their brains where they could communicate with a manager, right? And you know, or you could have like the best, you know, esports gamer playing FIFA, you know, like the best FIFA kid. He's sitting in the locker room and he's controlling the players on the pitch like FIFA. You know, you never know what he could do.
What do you think about JS's comment here?
JS.
Because for me, like a situation like you see with Chelsea or Manchester City, that is not the norm when it comes to billionaires coming into the Premier League, right? This guarantees nothing. There's no saying that a Russian oligarch would do anything different than what ENIC are doing. I know for sure. Like if let's say this, would you keep ENIC if they changed? Right? Would you keep ENIC if they stopped behaving the way that they have behaved for 20 years running now? Like, is there anything that this board could do in the next 12 months that would make you think, okay, I'm not going to continue to rail with ENIC out?
I mean, I think we can rail on it. Do I think that it'll do anything? What it could do, it's not going to get the owners out, right? You can't strip people of their equity, but what you can do is you can get them off, you could say, day-to-day operations of the club, right? So Joe Lewis could come in and sack Daniel Levy anytime he wanted to, right? He can't take his 30% ownership away, but he could say, you're no longer the chairman, you're no longer the chief executive officer at the club, you're no longer in charge of day-to-day operations, right? You're just going to be a silent board member, right? Because he owns equity in the company, he has voting shares, but he doesn't have to be on the board. I mean, our company went through a similar thing where we had active people in the company who, due to arguing and stuff like that, are now just on the board of owners, right? They're no longer involved in the day-to-day business of the company. And then some people sold their shares and got out, right? So it happens all the time. So there's no reason that couldn't happen with Daniel Levy as well. And to be honest with you, I think that would be a good first step. Right? So even if ENIC end up not selling the club, getting Daniel Levy out of the day-to-day operations of the club, I think is an important goal for people watching. So for you guys watching, that's what I think should be step one in this ENIC out battle, is to get Daniel Levy out of day-to-day operations of the club. I think that'll be helpful.
Yeah, because it's just hard to see. It's like you said, but like in North America, the idea of forcing owners to sell through protest is a little bit of a fantasy. Now, protest in general, I think in Europe is a little more commonplace, but I really, the question that I was going to follow up with is, do you think that these ENIC protests, do you think it's more likely that they affect a change in behavior of the ownership, or is it more likely that they force the owners to consider selling?
Well, I don't think you can force the owners to consider selling, but what I do think you can do is to quiet people, right? So if you have a bunch of noise and it's a lot of bad PR, and now it affects the naming rights of the stadium, and this is where I go back to my point at the beginning of the ESL, was if we start going after their sponsorships, like I'm still drinking Red Bull because I'm still protesting anything sold by the company, any sponsor of Tottenham Hotspur. I'm still boycotting Monster. I'm still boycotting Heineken. I'm still boycotting Audi. Not that I can just go out and buy Audis willy nilly, but yeah, that's what I'm doing. But what it could do is you can start to get it to where to force Daniel Levy kind of out of his position. And I think that has to be a minimum. And that's kind of what the THST was talking about too, is they're asking him to resign. You know, he can still be an equity owner and not be a part of the day-to-day operations club. He doesn't want to do that. Like it's kind of been rumored that Joe Louis wants out. He wants to liquidate. He wants to get rid of it. I mean, the dude's like 90 years old, right? And so, but Levy, you know, still being young and chipper, stuff like that. But and Will and Cody, do you think that this is so much hype is doing the rounds? Spurs channels are inadvertently propagating Daniel Levy's distraction strategy. Are you trying to give me an excuse?
You have all fallen into my plan!
You're even more ugly in television than reality.
Trying to give me an excuse.
Give me an excuse to use my things. Thanks, Mr. K. I appreciate it.
Daniel Levy, if you're listening, you're a bald beep.
Yeah, I got to put that one back in there. But yeah, that's the first time you watched. You know, you've seen that a bunch of times. It doesn't get old though.
For everybody in the comments, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I personally, the Super League was it for me. That to me was this board, this ownership trying to steal the club from us forever and turn it into something that none of us want. So I will never forgive Enoch for being a part of that movement. Do you think that the Super League is dead and done, or is this something that it's just being put on the back burner until it suits them?
Definitely on the back burner.
Yeah, there's definitely a feeling, you know, like it's like we've said before. How is it that like 200 Chelsea fans overturned 12 billionaires? You know what I mean? Like it just seemed a little bit too easy for that amount of backlash. It feels like we were just being ransomed, but I'm not comfortable having owners who are prepared to ransom clubs in order to get governing bodies to give them more money. So
yeah, but I think Jay, I think you're being a little bit zealous here, right? Because I think all of us talk about it. So like, for instance, you know, Ben and Sim, you know, they've got it in their background. We're mentioning it in everyone, right? Like it's so part of it, but we have to get back onto the football part of it as well, right? So we kind of have to do both, because we are, after all, I mean, unless we just want to have, how many channels of, like in the Spurs fam channels part, I would say there's probably about 10 of us. I may be leaving some people out, but forgive me if I did. But just the ones I can remember off the top of my head, there's about 10. And if we were, and Spurs content tends to roll almost, especially now with this channel being here, almost 24/7. Right after I get off of a rant stream at around 1 a.m. my time, there's really nothing until 6 or 7 o'clock my time. But so there's about a 5-hour gap that somebody could still fill if you're living in Australia or Korea and you wanted to start up a channel and be part of the family. That would be a good time slot to do it. Would be around 1:30 to 2 a.m. New York time. I just don't think that we could sit there and all of us be talking about that all. It would get old real quick, and people would stop tuning in at some point.
Yeah,
I would.
But like you're saying, the important thing is that it doesn't go back onto the back burner entirely. And believe me, like most of what happens in that Spurs chat that we're a part of on Twitter is Daniel Levy needs to go. And look at the boys at We Are Tottenham TV. They've got the Enoch out signs now. Everyone's talking about the protest coming up on May 15th. If you're anywhere in the UK and you can spare the time to go down for the last home game against Aston Villa, definitely go down there and make your voices heard, but yeah, we can't stop talking about, but we have to talk about other things as well, including the manager search, which has taken a couple of twists and turns here in the last few days, with Nagelsmann agreeing to replace Hansi Flick at Bayern Munich. Who do you want, and who do you think we're getting?
Who do I want? Gasparini is who I would want for a rebuild manager for at least 2 or 3 years. And who do I think we're getting? Honestly, I don't really know. I don't know.
I don't even know who. It's hard to say who you would want at this point, because the question of who manages the club next is so intertwined with what direction we're going to end up going. Are we going to hire a manager who we're going to end up sacking in 18 months again? Or are we going to bring in a manager to take on the whatever shape the project that is required? Are we going to give it one more go with Kane and Son, or are we going to get rid? Are we going to look to the future? Are we going to bring through the youth? Is it going to be a 5-year project? Because, if it's a 5-year project, that kind of rules out the likes of a Gasparini, who's, I don't know how much longer he's going to manage. What is he, 65?
Yeah.
So
Bielsa, right? Marcelo Bielsa.
Yeah, Bielsa. It would be pretty hilarious watching Bielsa trying to get these players playing that style of football right now. Can you imagine the likes of Eric Dyer? Basically, the entire squad looks like they're not fit.
Yeah, they're too slow right now. I just think that's funny, Mr. K's comments. And I'm doing this. Folks that are doing this. I'm doing this for the laugh, but you can get available at thfcrants.com, right? Supported and sponsored by this man himself. I'm kidding, right? That's not. But yeah, no, I do. I feel your pain, Mr. K. I too am in Mr. in tin hat mode, right? Like, whereas I can't trust anything. As far as the next manager is concerned, we got Dan here, and he's saying, Graham Potter, I think will be happening. Ten Hag I would be okay with Ten Hag if he can bring, as Gavin says here, if he could bring in his whole system. But right, with Steve Hitchen, what are we going to do? I mean, there's so many things. I don't think Jurgen Klinsmann is a quality manager, and he kind of has a Jose Mourinho reputation, to be honest with you. Everywhere he goes ends up kind of just being like he talks a big game, like he knows what he's talking about, and then it ends up being destroying whatever, just like the U.S. men's national team.
What do you make of the links to Galtier of Lille?
I don't watch Lille enough to know, to be honest with you. Like I said, I don't watch Liga other than Pochettino at PSG in the Champions League. So I couldn't really tell you if it was a good one or not. But thank you, Americanka. What do you think about the guy from Lille?
Same thing. Don't know much about him. I think it's difficult to gauge managers who are coming from different leagues, since you see it with the players, right? Players who will completely dominate French football or German football or Spanish football or Italian football. Even some of the best players come here and they don't tend to adjust immediately. So it's difficult.
So yeah, we've got about 20 minutes left here on the show. 25 minutes ish, right? About 3 o'clock is what time your girls wake up. I need to go make sure that front door is unlocked so my son doesn't ring the doorbell. So I'm gonna jump out for 2 seconds. I'll be right back. You keep the guys in the chat on board. There's 73. There better be 80 when I get back. No, I'm kidding. All right, folks. I'll be right back. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah. So when it comes to the next manager of Tottenham Hotspur, I don't know who we're going to be able to attract just because we're such a hot mess right now. It's one thing for a manager to come here because he is offered a certain amount of pay, but we're also coming off of the back of paying the most for a manager that we've ever paid. You know, Mourinho, having just been sacked, was making more than any other manager in the Premier League. So do I really see Daniel Levy going in for another big name like that who's really only going to come here for the money? I certainly hope not, because for me, that is kicking the can down the road. You know, the next manager that comes in to Tottenham is going to tell us a lot about whether or not there is going to be a plan put in place. For me, it's like, all right. The thing is, if a guy like Brendan Rodgers won't even consider coming to Tottenham, and you can't blame him with the good thing that they have going on at Leicester, who in their right mind will come here that is of decent quality? Or are we going to have to gamble on a younger manager who is relatively unproven? Like, we can all agree that I think the best manager that we've had here in the ENIC tenureship is Maurizio Pochettino. But when Poch was hired, was he a big name? Not really.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He was brought in. I don't even know. Like, do you think Pochettino like overachieved more than ENIC would have even preferred? Did we kind of get ahead of the curve in terms of what they were trying to build or what they were trying to prioritize? Why did we stop investing in Maurizio Pochettino when we did?
I think it's because he was starting to steal some of the limelight from Daniel Levy. He had built a name for himself that, you know, they're at Spurs and had done things that people didn't expect. And, you know, Daniel Levy figured like people were listening to him too much and he had to get rid of him. Is how I take it.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
I agree. But, you know, like coming off having appointed Jose, who's like a proven manager, where it obviously did not work under the model, and who knows like how much COVID threw a wrench into what we could have done with Jose. I despite ENIC behaving the way that they have over the past 20 years, I'm not sold that we wouldn't have seen more investment if we hadn't ran into the pandemic. But when you see like some of the different like lower level,
I'm telling you, bros.
when you see some of the like lesser candidates being suggested, you see a lot of Spurs fans turning their nose up at them. But if we had have approached Pochettino with that kind of attitude, we never would have hired him. So I'm on board for a project manager. I want the problems at this club to be acknowledged. I want the solution to be put in motion. I don't want another manager coming in who we're going to sack in 18 months, right?
Yeah, look, I'm totally cool. Even if we're not going out there and getting the best players in the world, or you know, this, that, and the other thing. If Steve Hitchen were to go and we were to bring somebody in who's a director of football and who's in charge of the pitch, even that much of it, or to get Daniel Levy out of the day-to-day, like just ban him from the ground. He's not allowed to come to the match on match day. He's not allowed to do any of that. He's simply in charge of finances only. He's only the CFO for the company. And have somebody who's actually in charge. And even if it was bringing in, you know, Leeds type players or Brighton type players, or, you know, players that are not necessarily top dollar, but you can find some kind of chemistry some kind of balance in the team and start to show, I would be okay with that. I would be okay with that if you're watching. Right? But to just sit there and just do nothing year after year after year is, I mean, that's what we had the first couple of years of Poch, was doing something with nothing. I'm okay with doing something with nothing again, right? If I can see the club moving in the right direction again. But now I see us rolling back down a hill that, you know, that is painstaking to see. It's painstaking to see that.
I mean, it's my opinion that we are in need of such a full-blown rebuild that it's quite possible that we're 2 steps behind Arsenal right now, despite being above them in the table and having been there for quite some time. It's possible that 2 years' time, depending on the actions that are taken, we might be entering a new era of mid-table mediocrity in which we're constantly just kind of keeping our heads above water and middling. Man, it sucks to think about. It does. You know, we're so far away from being a finished article. There's not a player on this roster that I can picture being a part of a Premier League winning side. You know, by the time the problems that we're facing have been rooted out, a lot of those players will be past their prime, even the young ones right now. It's not a one transfer window fix that we need to go through. But who knows? Maybe we hire a new manager and everything just works out fine.
Yeah, no, 100%. I just think that, gosh, man, I'm just so tired of the boo honkus. You know? Danny's got a question for us, though. Question: what do you guys think if we had Ten Hag with, say, Ralph Ragnick as director of football? That's my ideal and potentially realistic ambition, but doubt we'll go for a DOF. Yeah, I mean, bringing in a manager without bringing in the quality people in the back office. That's what we call it in American sports. Back office. Without the back office being rebuilt as well is, I think, just a recipe to break the manager again.
We need to get good, like Danny's saying, we need to bring in better football infrastructure, better footballing personnel, better football minds, and we need the owners and Daniel Levy to cede control to these people that we pay very good money to take care of our club. It's like at the bottom there,
100% micromanaging it.
Asamoah, perfect point. Levy is the manager, not Poch, not Jose, not Mason, right?
Yeah, he's micromanaging the entire operations of the club, and that's what's killing it.
Levy shouldn't be sitting there with Jose saying, "Oh, you need to play these people, or you need to play those people," right?
But I don't think that he may. I think this might be a newer thing. I think this might be that, like, since the stadium was finished, right? Do you think that he's maybe had an attitude change? Like before that, you know, managers were allowed to at least manage a little bit, because it wasn't until after we got it into the new stadium that Pochettino really started pointing out the fact that I'm not the manager. I'm only the head coach. I'm not in charge of nothing. Right? I think that there's been an attitude shift that now Levy has kind of, his micromanaging has kind of cranked into overdrive since the finishing of the new stadium, because he has all these ideas of how to make so much money with his stadium, right? That he's kind of gotten a bit obsessed, and he needs us to pull himself out. He needs to step back and pull himself out before he destroys the whole thing. You know what I mean? My opinion.
I see a lot of people saying Graham Potter's name, and I'm not quite understanding the love affair with Graham Potter.
Neither am I, to be honest with you.
I mean, yes. Okay, so really the biggest argument for Graham Potter is they play pretty football. Brighton are sitting 7 17th in the table right now. They've won one of their last 5 games, and they're coming off a loss to Sheffield United. They're in serious danger of being relegated. And really, if you've watched Brighton play, yes, they look fine. And maybe if they had better quality, they'd be putting away some of their chances. But Graham Potter has overseen one of the biggest bottler seasons that we have in the Premier League this year. Brighton on XG are somewhere like 8th or 7th in the table. They have pissed away more points than we have. And I don't see, like, if the things that we talk about, a manager coming in to improve the mentality of this squad, I don't see any of that coming with Graham Potter. All I see with Graham Potter is someone who can be brought in and be a puppet for Daniel Levy. Right? Do you see Graham Potter sitting across from Daniel Levy having a discussion about footballing decisions and saying, no, I don't? Doesn't really come across as that type of personality. For me, if Graham Potter is brought in, it's a sign that things are not going to change the way that we see them needing to.
His style of play to better players? I doubt it. We tried to play attacking on Sunday. Saw how that went. 77 people watching. We've got another 10 minutes in the show here. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video out with your friends, right? That helps us out. We're trying to grow this channel. We're trying to become the biggest channel in North America on Spurs content. And right now we are about 75 subscribers away from accomplishing that goal. So if you guys could help us out, that would be great. Huge stream today. 80 people watching right now across all platforms. 78 on YouTube and two other people in other places. So thank you for that. And 4 people just left. Thank you. Oh no. Screw this guy. But no, yeah, if you wouldn't mind liking, subscribing, and sharing this video out, especially this show right here. I think this show is probably going to be one of our top shows at some point in time. Simply the fact it's a little bit shorter. It's a little bit more, I could say, lighthearted and fun, although not recently because of the current state that we're in. But yeah, I think this would be a good show. Eventually, too, we'll throw in other people that can come into the show, and they have to rub. They got to rub the heads. But 51% of Koi's Leo coach.
Right.
So
So 51% fan ownership decisions. Come on, you Spurs, and let the little coach should be the one that we come in.
Okay. Commas, Bill. Commas. Like this. Like, see, Rico's got it perfect. Guys, Ragnick, Ten Hag, Parker, Potter. Pick one. Ten Hag, if I had to pick one of those.
Yeah.
4.
Yep. I think I'd go with Ten Hag as well, because if you bring in a guy like Ten Hag, I think it's a sign that you're going to see the manager have more power, and that's what we need. Steven Gerrard, listen, I'm not gonna sit here and say that he's not a decent manager, but I see Gerrard succeeding Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool.
Yeah.
And Klopp's got 3 years left. So I don't think
Klopp makes it through the next season.
I don't think so either. But I also don't think that it's hard to picture a manager being here for 3 years. But really, my biggest problem would be that Gerrard wouldn't be here for the long term.
Yes, Eugene, we will. Let me guys know. Comment in this video either after the fact is easier because it stays permanent. So once it goes up on the channel and you can do an after, a regular comment. I think you can do those now. You just have to close out the regular chat. I may be wrong, but if you guys go ahead and do that, And just let us know what time works best for you for my other shows. I mean, obviously the rant shows are at 10 p.m. Do you guys want more of these daytime shows? I had to yell at him, tell him the door's open. I'll ring it once, figure it out. I always tell him, but if you guys want more of these daytime shows, I do have some time. In fact, anything before 3 o'clock, really, except for Wednesdays, any day before 3 o'clock Eastern time, and before 5-ish, any other day except for Wednesdays, I can do. So if you guys want to see more shows like this, I'd love for Cody to come on. He may be able to come on. I don't want to make him commit to doing more than one show a week, but if you guys want to do more shows like this during the daytime, let me know. The late night shows can be tough because I tend to crash. I tend to have more energy, around this time than probably other times. So if you guys want to see more daytime shows, just let me know and we'll do that. But yeah, Cody, any final thoughts?
Yeah. Do you think that Pochettino would ever come back? And I don't mean now. I mean, like, let's say hypothetically, 5 years from now, okay, ownership is still in place. Daniel Levy is still boss man, enemy number one. Pochettino, he's gone. He's done his thing at PSG. It's run its course. It's stagnated a little bit. Do you think that Poch would ever come back here and work for Daniel Levy?
For Daniel Levy, I think Poch is going to kind of hang out and see if Daniel Levy ends up going away. I mean, according to them, they were buddies, right? So, Thank you, Wayne. But yeah, I just think that thank you, Dan. I don't know. I don't know if they do. Do you think that they hate each other, or is it just a? I think it comes back to what I said about 10 minutes ago, where after the stadium being built, Levy's mentality changed. I can see it a little bit, and just the way he acts, the way now everything is so. Oh, he's so serious about stuff now. And that he feels such a pressure to make money and do things that he's not concerned about the success as far as trophies is concerned. He's concerned about the money coming into the club. So top 4, all of these things. I have this stadium now. I have to have this amount of revenue coming into the club. And I think that's causing him to make some mistakes. So,
yeah,
I think he might come back.
Man, he said all the right things when he was leaving, despite some of the things that went on leading up to his departure, and not being able to say goodbye to the players, et cetera, et cetera. But he's always said that he would love to come back here. But I do think that there's a little bit too much Poch nostalgia that is going on at the moment. We got to let go of that iteration of Tottenham Hotspur and look to the future and see what we can build. Everybody's like, that's what everybody wants, is to go back in time. Even it's even reflected in the opinions that people have on the managerial candidates. Everybody's looking for the next Poch. Who's the next Poch, right? But yeah. No, that would be my final thought.
Do you know anything about that? This question here from Sue. Joe Louis is old. When he dies, does he have family that's going to take over the club? I haven't heard of anything about that. I mean, because he's like, unless they put him, he's probably going to. This is the thing with old rich people. He's probably got like some kind of like stasis milk machine that they're going to hook him up to and keep his brain alive for then. Until Elon Musk can create an artificial body for it to put his brain in, or download his brain?
No idea. You'd have to ask him.
But anyway, thanks for the. I mean, this is always the hard part about these shows too, Cody. Is that the ending is always has far more people than the beginning. Not that we had bad numbers in the beginning. I think it was like 40s and 50s. But for the last 15, 20 minutes, it's been like 80s. At one point, it almost got up to 90. But yeah, we've got to go. Cody has to get his girls. Have they woken up yet, or are they still snoozing?
Well, our monitor broke a couple days ago, so I'm relying on the power of my hearing.
And with earbuds in, that may not be helpful.
Don't hear anything right now, so should be still good. But yeah, we should probably wrap it up.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up for now because I'm actually headed over to the Paxton TV, and they're doing a show there, and that starts in 1 minute.
Yeah, I might pop over there too if the girls are still asleep. But yeah, just wanted to say thanks to everybody who tuned in. Thanks for smashing a like.
Yep, and check out some of the links we got in the description of the video below. You can become a Patreon if you have extra money that you want to throw away, and some cool stuff that you can buy if you like it. So it's not really cool, but it just has show memes. You can get a nice shirt with me and Cody's bald heads on it. That's always fun. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Let me find this comment so I can get it off here. Thank you for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure to like, subscribe, share the video out with your friends. We'll be back again sometime either this week or next week. I'll be back this week for sure. If Cody wants to join, he'll be able to again. But we will see you next time. Stay strong, stay Spurs, and we're out. Once it goes.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's go now.